Welcome to my channel, and in today's video I am going to talk about water demand. This is a series and the part 1 is per capita. There is a term called finished water supply, which is equal to total water production minus total water losses. This definition is based on source of water. In other words, we can say total water demand plus total water losses. This is with respect to consumer end. Now we will understand the terms one by one. Total water production equal to public water sources plus private water sources. Every town has these kind of two sources. Public water sources are owned by government agencies. It means these are developed, operated and maintained by the government department and agencies. Public water sources are two types, primary water sources and secondary water sources. Primary water sources are in form of surface water such as dam, canal, lakes and rivers. Secondary water sources are in general underground water sources wherever the underground water is potable, and these are developed in the form of open well and tube wells. However, the percentage of secondary water sources are less as compared to primary water sources, but these are part of public water sources. Private water sources are owned by any individual entity. One thing we have to remember here, the private water sources are only available where underground water is potable and open well and tube well are successful. Now these entities can be individual dwellings, group housing or establishment in a town. Now we will understand the water from consumer point of view because demand is generated by the consumers. So total water demand is equal to water demand by utility service area. Here this is a term utility service area which we have to understand. The utility service area is the area where water supply network is planned to lay. So all the type of consumers and demand is generated by the complete network of water supply. Now there are different kind of consumers: domestic, institutional, commercial and industrial in any town or city. Now one by one we go through different type of demand, and first demand is the domestic demand, which is generated by the people for their daily household uses. And individual houses, group housings, multi-story buildings and housing colonies are the residential places for the human beings. And in totality, this is the total residential population of any town or city, which is the sum of the census data plus outer population which come to the city or town with the families to stay there. Second demand is institutional demand, which is generated by different type of institutes in a city or town, like the hospitals, educational institutes like colleges, schools, universities, and hostels for different type of educational institutes, and offices plus recreational centers such as parks, playground, etc. And offices are the private offices as well as the government offices. Third type of demand is commercial water demand, which is generated by all the commercial activities in a city or town. These are shopping centers and shopping malls, hotels, restaurants, cinema halls, bus stand, or railway stations. Fourth and last type of demand is industrial water demand. Here we are considering the cottage industry and the small scale industry. The large industries are not considered here because they are not the part of any city water supply system. Cottage industries are skill based industries. These are generally done by a family members or the group of people have a specific type of skills, and these are generally related to heritage and cultural values of a town or cities. Here are some of the example of the cottage industries. Small scale industries prepare various kind of products to meet the requirement of cities population, and their business is limited to city or town or up to some regional area. And here are some of the small scale industries generally we found in many cities. So their water demand should also be considered for the water supply. Till now we have got the idea the water supply from different type of sources and the water demand generated by the different type of consumers. Now there is a baseline criteria which is called the per capita water supply or the demand. This criteria is used by the various agencies at the national and the international level to know the water supply level of any human habitation. And this per capita water supply is can be divided into two parts. One is called gross per capita water supply and the second is residential per capita water supply. Gross per capita water demand or supply is equal to finished water supply to utility service area divided by utility service area residential population. It means it is the total demand of the domestic, institutional, commercial, or industrial of any city or town, because ultimately for all these four demand is used by the residents of that town or city. Residential per capita water demand or supply equal to domestic finished water in utility service area divided by utility service area residential population. It means this gives only the water demand for the household uses. In general, we calculate this by census population multiplied by per capita water supply plus the physical losses. Now I will tell you what are the drawbacks if we design a water supply system based on residential per capita demand or supply, which is generally used by all the designers or the stakeholders? Because till now we have understood that residential per capita water supply is much lesser than the gross water supply of any city or town, because residential per capita only cover the household requirement of a city or town, whereas gross per capita water supply covers the residential as well as the commercial, institutional, and industrial demand of that town. So if we design the system based on residential per capita, then 24 by 7 is not possible, because water available in the system will be very less as compared to total requirement or demand generated by the city or town. And per capita demand cannot be meet out, because most of the water will be taken by other non-domestic users. End users don't get water because most of the water will be taken by the users which are near to the source of water or the storage area. Residual pressure cannot be achieved because when water will be taken more in from the water supply, then their friction losses will be more and the pressure will reduce at the nodes or junctions. Since we are getting the water or we designing the system based on residential per capita, we reserve the water less at the source, and due to this less reservation, even if we have the capacity, we cannot supply the water to the town. And this also lead to inefficient pumping, because less pumping efficiency will be installed than the required, and this lead to undersized pipe and storage. Therefore, gross per capita water demand is the only way to design adequate water supply system to achieve all the parameters required or satisfy for a city and town needs in a totality. Therefore, residential per capita should be avoided and the gross per capita water demand should be taken for design any water supply system of a town. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe.